I started also to switch from this baby love, this, you're my mom, you're my dad, you owe me to take care of me, or whatever it is that we think as kids, to, okay, now I'm an adult, they are adults, and maybe I can inspire them to some level, because it is not about thinking you're superior or ego-driven thing. It's more, what if I could inspire the people that I love? What if my journey today can be a role model for others, And then you tap into a different level of the relationship when you start to approach it that way.
Friend, here's something I don't know if you know. While the podcast was a thought of mine for a long time, thinking of me absolutely could not be doing this without our very own Wizard of Oz, Kyle, at Goodnight Podcasting Solutions. Kyle's turnaround time, dedication and level of service means that I never have to second guess or worry about the level of support in getting our messaging out to you. If you're curious as to starting your own podcast, or just want to see how it might spread your message, reach out to Kyle at kylegoodnight.com or check our show notes. I mean it when I say that we couldn't be doing this without him. Hello, and welcome to this week's episode of Think of Me podcast, where we have Audrey Bartolomei with us today. And Audrey, I'm really excited to have on, because literally the last thing you said before we came on was the energy that Audrey has, and that the state I met her in at Tony Robbins' event actually back in 2023 in Birmingham, and never did I think that a quick connection like that would maintain, number one, because it feels like we've been connected and in each other's lives ever since then, through the power of social media, but also the journey that would have happened since then, for both of us. And Audrey's a coach, and I love seeing the work that you do and you share in bringing your energy, that person that's there, that who I met, as I say, and witnessing that and how much you put in to your work, and obviously for your clients that you serve as well. And hopefully today, Audrey, will bring that infectious energy to our friends listening. Audrey, I'll hand over and let you introduce yourself and what it is you do. And I know you're in Switzerland, and what all things, maybe coaching, personal development. I know you're a mom. Your general story for anyone who doesn't know you that you'd like to share.
Yes, thank you so much, Lauren, for this intro. And actually, for the occasion of our anniversary, I took the cup of Birmingham.
I did a mug. I didn't. That's so cute.
Yeah, so thank you for inviting me, because like you said, we just met once, but the connection you have in this kind of event is so deep, and we share so much on a high level of energy that then it stays even though we don't see each other physically. So thank you for having me.
Not at all. I think we met day one actually as well. I think it was day one of the event. That's always a deep day as well.
Yeah, and we had this deep conversation, so we
That's
immediately
right.
clicked,
Yeah, something like that lasts.
But maybe to introduce myself, so I'm originally French, so for those who are listening, you will hear a small French accent probably. And I studied law originally. I did 5 years of law studies, which actually studies that I hated, really. I didn't enjoy them. This is part also of my stories, because I realized in my career that I was not driven by the intrinsic motivation, but rather, the external world and what the society was expecting from me. And but I had the chance through my studies to go abroad. I lived in Singapore, I lived in Brussels, and 10 years ago I settled in Switzerland. So now I live by the beautiful Lake Geneva in Switzerland, and I work actually as a coach. 5 years ago I did a reconversion in my career. I became a coach, and initially I started helping people to find their fire and what they wanted to do in their career, because I realized that I was so lost for so many years. And I developed the concept of the inner child and how our inner child has something to say to our career development. And today I still work with individuals in their career development, but also with leaders in companies to become better leaders, better persons, also with their families, and because I'm also a mom of two little girls of 2 and 5 years old. So this is also keeping me quite busy, in life.
100%. I can't imagine how, because as I say, for anyone who, doesn't follow Audrey, do check out the show notes and just see her socials. And I can't imagine what behind the scenes of real life is like, because if you're still bringing that amount of energy, as I say, to other people, the amount of energy that must happen in your home and for yourself, in pouring that out, I can only ever admire. I would always have said that I have a education background, as a teacher, and I used to always say, God, I don't know how anyone with little ones at home can do both, so
Yeah.
As someone new to the industry myself, like brand new, and that that you have to maintain such space for yourself, and kind of conserving some of that then. And I suppose, Audrey, I'm curious, in those transitions of geography and career and that as well, and moving and travel and finding where that inner child was bringing you, I suppose. How did you maybe, I suppose, adjust, or what did you maybe notice or do notice in those times of like energy peaks and troughs and that kind of thing?
Yeah, so I had I come from the south of France, so in Nice, probably some people know this city.
Both my put ones.
It's a beautiful city, yeah. But
I saw it on crutches.
What?
I saw it on crutches when I was 12.
Oh wow!
Yeah, that's funny.
And actually, this is I was curious. Curiosity was the main driver. And so I through my studies, I could travel. And this is also why I decided to study something that will allow me to go abroad. And so this was the first idea. And I wanted to discover the world, I wanted to... Originally, I was speaking only French. And when I started to speak English, I realized I can, reach out the whole world with this language. And it was amazing for me. But the driver, I think, in my career was in the past were a lot driven by projection of what I thought is success, And success, part of it was about making my parents happy or proud, and how also we define success by a title, or an amount of money you have on the bank account, And so for me, studying law, I was ticking all the boxes. I would get a good salary. People are proud of me. This is a good social status as well to have. But I didn't really know how to connect to what would make me really, truly fulfilled, you know? And this is through my journey that I realized that I was driven by the wrong motivations, because they are not lasting ones, and they maybe lead to performance but not to well-being on the long run. And this is why when I came from Singapore to Switzerland, I had a really hard time. I was really in a dark place, I made kind of a depression. I would think this looks like it, I was not diagnosed as a depressed person at this time, but I was waking up in the night with sweating because I left a dream life that I had in Singapore, where I was all the time out and in the sun and everything, and coming to Switzerland, where I felt really lonely. My husband, back then he was my boyfriend, he was working, and I was suddenly, alone in a country I didn't know, and I didn't know what to do. I did 40 interviews, job interviews. I was so lost, and I didn't know how to move on. I was stuck. And when I think when you hit the rock bottom, the how do you say this? When you go really so down that you can only go up afterwards, Yeah. And then I realized, okay, maybe I need to find something else. And this is when I start to dig into myself and really start to do this work of understanding who I am, what is motivating me, what are my strengths, what do I love to do. And it's a process of, several years, right, to figure this out. But still you need to have this declic of willing to dig in,
100%. And I think for anyone listening who maybe is at that point of what happens next, I use the analogy all the time of the clouds, so like for me, I picked up the pen at a time where I couldn't see what was meant to happen next, and there's that kind of cloudy vision and trying to find some clarity. And what you say there, it takes time. It's not an overnight fix, and I had that similar story, but that's where with everything, like my mindset, everything changed when I heard the saying, the success without fulfillment is the ultimate failure, So if you're achieving all these things and you're making all these external, wins that looks like you're on a new level and all that kind of thing, but you're not actually happy about any of it, then, that's no good to you and that's no good to the people around you then as well. And I'm really curious, Audrey, you mentioned there, with your parents and your studies with the law. How did you, or what did you do to start to break away from that a little bit? Or what age were you when that maybe kind of started to change to asking, well, what do I, Audrey, want to do versus some of those tough conversations that can happen? Because I've been going through those these last couple of months with home and family and it's been surprising. I'll be really honest. Like, it's been surprising the amount of support that there has actually been, and there is. They haven't a clue. Like, they are a little tentative and worried for me, but I don't worry about permission anymore.
Yes, exactly.
So yeah, I'm just curious in your story there. When did that start to make change, I suppose, for you?
Yes, that's a good question. Actually, I think, I grew up wanting to be a good girl, and I think many of us can relate to that. Yeah. And then I didn't really question what I wanted, Sometimes I had this glimpse and then I realized maybe it's too outside of the box, and then I just went back on the right track, let's say, in brackets. But part of it is about, first of all, understanding that there's a kind of a misalignment at some point, and it's so strong. There's like a voice in you, and you need to listen to it, but it's scary, and so I started to listen to that voice, but it was in the unknown because I didn't know where this would bring me, and I was young. I think the little voice is always there, but it's how much do you hear it? And it's when I left abroad, actually, I left my home with my parents. Then I start to understand myself a little bit more, and you kind of discover yourself from another perspective, and then I think it's a step-by-step process. There's a moment where you go through anger also towards your parents, like, you didn't let me become who I wanted to become, or this kind of stuff, But actually, when you do the work, then you go through these different stages, and then you realize they had a good intention. Like you said, they just want to protect you. They want what's good for you according to their own vision of the world and their own perception of what is right or what should be the right path for you, you know? And when you start to have this empathy towards your own parents, this is when you find also peace. And, you know, when I said to my parents, I'm going to become a coach, you know, the first thing they did, it was, I think, 6 or 7 years ago, they laughed, you know. And I was so upset at this moment because I was so sure I wanted to be a coach, you know. But actually, it was almost like they were also nervous. Like, what is even a coach? You know, they didn't know what is a coach. And they were a bit surprised, a bit scared, a bit, you know, but maybe also making fun of me, saying, oh, but you never know what you want, you always change your mind. And then you have to free yourself from, you know, because also in the family environment, your family tend to put you in a kind of a box. You know, it's not nasty, but they perceive you from a different angle, from a specific angle, and they always repeat the same sentences. So for me, you never know what you want. You know, you cannot take decisions. And then I grew up thinking I cannot take decisions and I never know what I want. Until I realized, no, this is actually not true. I know what I want, but sometimes, okay, I'm confused. This happened to everybody, which is completely different way to relate to this than saying I cannot take decisions, you know. But so, and when you are with family, you tend to be triggered because they always put you back in that same spot, you know. Even though right now I'm 38 years old, you know.
I hear you. I'm the same. I'm living at home for the first time in over 4 years, and you know, it's just habit. It's just natural, you know, of falling back into those roles, and it's kind of like, you know, I know how to do the little things, you know, that you know, as you say, you forget your age sometimes. And what came to mind there, Audrey, is like when you're saying like that with the confused, you know, at some of the Tony Robbins events, and that, you know, where it's like confusion means you're at the edge of a breakthrough, you know. And that kind of, again, was a complete shift in thinking for me on, okay, that means I'm getting somewhere, you know. So it's like, it doesn't mean you have to abandon it. It doesn't mean you have to go back into the clouds, as I say, and like hide away. It actually means you're getting closer to yourself, I think. And yeah, j'étudie le français à l'école. But I can't remember but je ne peux parler le français très bien. I can't speak it very well. It was my lowest in school, but I think when you said like the learning English, and it brought a whole other power to be able to you know, travel and experience the world and experience life, and that it's as you learn a new language, whether it's an actual language, you know, like the French, the English, or a way of using your words, you know, in like that, as we will learn through Tony and that kind of thing as well, of, you know, where language holds meaning. So when you keep attaching to a certain word, you will keep experiencing that, you know. So it's a way of being able to communicate with others, and also communicate with yourself a small bit, is the way I think of it at times. Sorry. So yeah, they're just some of my thoughts that
Yeah, of course. And I think language is a great door to explore new, you know, it's like a new part of you, you know. When you talk another language, you tap into a different, you know, you kind of expand your horizon, and it gives access to different things. And I mean, this gave me a lot of power, you know, especially because maybe English is your native language, but when you talk English, you can really talk to anybody almost, you know. That's really
Audrey, I'm not a mom, but I am someone who would like to be someday. And one thing that I actually don't know if this ever came up, you know, back in at UPW or anything, but one thing I was always kind of very aware of was, if I don't change, one, I'm not going to be happy, but also if I don't change, I don't want to put this on any future family I might have. You know, was very kind of aware of being like a bit of that cycle breaker as such. With your family, you know, and with your daughters, and that, like, do you ever see, you know, your inner child in your girls, or, you know, for you, and also how do you kind of look at parenting and watching them grow? Because I can only imagine, as I say, I don't have any. I've had little cousins, and, you know, there's always kind of been young people around. I quite enjoy, I really do enjoy being, you know, around that energy, but it's not something that myself or maybe some friends listening, you know, maybe have experienced yet. And for those who have, I know always talk about that huge kind of opening, I suppose, that you know, that pouring out that it brings when you are a mom. So yeah, just kind of, where do your girls kind of bring out all of that in you, I suppose? I make no secret of the fact that my life changed completely when I reached out to Achievable Fitness 365. Jay is someone who not only gets the fitness side of things, he gets the human side of things. And in having someone who's walked the walk and talks the same thoughts has made me comfortable from the very get-go. Actually, that's a complete lie. I fell in the door and was sick on my first day, but kind of after that I got comfortable somewhere along the line. Jay knows people, he knows the industry, and he's someone who will know you better than you know yourself. The accountability that he holds, the standard that he sets for you and not for anyone else, is what brought me back into me originally, more than 4 years ago. If you're ready to begin your fitness journey and don't know where to reach out, try Jay. And as I say, my life has never been the same since.
Yeah, so first of all, we're never ready, you know, like there's not a moment where you say I'm ready, you know, to be a mom. I mean, there's a moment where you feel like it's the moment for you, but you will never, this is how I see, you know, we will never be the perfect version of ourselves that can be the perfect mom, you know. We're just imperfect human beings, and when we become a mom, we tap into a love we've never experienced before, which also comes with a lot of challenges, I must say. So you ask me what the girls bring in me. They for sure show me what my best side, my bright side, but also my dark side. You know, they trigger both. And I think for my first daughter, which is now 5 years old, I was a different mom because I was still trying to figure things out. Not that I'm not today, but I'm more at peace, you know, with all the work I've done on myself. And I think I'm a different mom for my second daughter, where I'm way more confident, relaxed. Also, I think that I have all the resources within me to be a great mom. And sometimes if I am not at my best, it's just because I'm just an imperfect human being, and that's okay. You know, I'm able to have also compassion towards myself. I have also better tools to be equipped to deal with the triggers, you know, because the children, they trigger you. Like, you know, in a relationship also, with your partner, with your parents, with your friends, you are triggered, you know, and until you do that work on yourself to understand what are my triggers.
Yeah.
And what is the response I want to give to that? And this is a lifetime work, by the way, you know. But the more you explore that, the more you're aware, and you also can put in place some strategies. So either you avoid the trigger, or when the trigger is there, you take a different route, you know. So this is, I feel more equipped, more at peace and compassionate with myself. And also, I think that when you become a mom, your children are who you are, because we are energy. you know? So if you're thriving, if you're happy, if you're joy, if you are enthusiastic, your children will tap into the same frequency of joy, enthusiasm, and you know, if you are a mom that is very sad all the time, the children will tap into this energy. And for me, the best way to be a good mom is to work on yourself. You know, because I hear so many times like, oh, I want to give my children what I didn't have or what I don't have. And I'm saying to these people that give it to yourself first, because your children see you as an inspiration also, you know, and you will teach them some patterns that they will inherit from you as well, you know. So if you, for instance, you completely doing a job that you don't like, and you keep on saying to your kids, you have to do a job that you love, you have to do a job that you love, there's a kind of a misalignment between what you are teaching them and what you're actually applying to yourself, you know. And so I think this is, for me, the self-development is the key to first of all to be more at peace with yourself, find fulfillment, but also when you put it into perspective, into relationships in general, it is so important that you work on yourself, because you will impact the relationship and other around you in a positive way.
Definite. It's that whole thing of like, it's the attraction, you know, it's that whole thing of like, as you say, if you're one emotion, that's what you will put out and that's what you'll get back, you know. And I think as women, sometimes we feel guilty nearly on putting that time into ourselves. You know, it's like it needs to go out, it needs to go into family or relationship or whatever it is. And as you say, if you're not kind of taking that time for you, you aren't growing, you aren't being your best version, you know, quote unquote cheesy, you know, but it's the truth, you know, you don't have that. And I'm kind of curious, Audrey, then what would be kind of some of your absolute staples that you do to maintain your energy with having a business, being a mom, being a wife, and everything else I'm sure that also happens, you know, as a daughter, you know, everything that you know encompasses you.
Yes.
What keeps you? Where's your kind of...
That's a good question.
Structured. Yeah.
So first of all, it's not a linear road, you know. There are ups and downs. So this is the first thing. Like, we always want to reach like, you know, this line where everything is perfect. And it's not like this, you know. You go through ups and downs, but I think it's about learning how to cope with the moments where you're a bit struggling or things are happening in your life where you feel a bit challenged, you know, and also reframing it, like Tony is also teaching, like it's happening for you, not to you. This has really helped me, because so one of the work that I do is I work a lot with the saboteurs. And, you know, there's this concept from positive intelligence. And by the way, if you want, I can send you the link. People can do the saboteurs test for free, you know, on the website.
Oh, you're very good. Yeah, people can check out show notes for that. 100%. Yeah.
And then it's showing the different saboteurs that are impacting your life in general, and what is coming in the way of you reaching your full potential, you know. And first of all, by understanding my saboteurs, I am now able to recognize when they show up, and then, as I said, establish strategy. But this is obviously a reaction to this. So the first, working on yourself will allow you to have different reactions and relate to events in a different manner, and so you kind of find a form of a peace in your in your life, because you are spending less energy, on stuff that actually is either out of your control, or, it's like this, so whatever, just deal with it and move on. Where in the past I would treat, make myself a hard time on some stuff where actually you spend too much energy on it. So this is, first of all, a cleanup of having more time to focus on the things that really matter. And actually what you're saying, when you become a mom, you have a lot of energy that is going into the kids, in terms of time. So you have to give them a lot of time, but also you don't want only to give them time, you want to give them quality time, which is also meaning that your energy is fully there when you are with them and not thinking about other stuff,
Presence.
So this is the first thing. And also I would say, managing time where you take care of yourself. So for instance, I never take calls on Monday morning before 11 because I go running and meditate before I start my week, and I know I'm lucky because I'm independent, so I'm allowed. Finally I'm managing my schedule. But even I will really recommend to, even if it's at lunchtime, to have these moments of disconnection where sometimes at lunch I watch a podcast or a video when I eat, or either if I eat on my own or with someone else, have an interesting conversation. I'm avoiding now. Also, I think one thing is very important is who you choose to spend your time with.
Yeah.
So I think 100%. I made also a cleanup, or because I have way less time, I need to be selective, So if I have lunch with somebody, or if I'm now here with you today, is because I believe we will have a conversation that will elevate us,
Yes. Yeah.
And this is really, I choose now with who I spend my time. And also, another thing is to meditate. And I know this sounds cliche, but I think this is really like brushing your teeth, And when we say meditate, we really make it like so, we sacralize it. I don't know how to say that. We make it
I know what you mean.
When actually it's just, sometimes it's just closing your eyes for 5 minutes, and just breathing deeply and recentering to the moment, And I think this is what I'm doing now regularly. When I do it several times a day, but also when I'm triggered, I do it, know. So the recentering part is so important to maintain a good health and a good balance when you're, like you say, jungling with so many things in your life.
I think they're great pillars to live by, Audrey. And, even if it's the thing of, I don't have the time, it's like, if you don't have 10 minutes, what do you have? And if you don't have to live by all of them, and sometimes it's that one little thing, that one change that will build and stack in to make another thing happen then, and then you build on top of that. And suddenly then, as you say, none of these things happen overnight, but suddenly maybe you are living a whole different life and feeling like a whole different person by just choosing one different habit, or starting at one new thing that would bring you forward. And I love that with the conversations. It's something that comes up a lot, and spoke about this in other podcast episodes as well, of like, you are the sum of the total 5 people you're around, and that kind of thing. And if you are growing, people don't always like to see that sometimes. Mm-hmm. Have you had an experience at any point of, which I'm sure you have, but is there anything you'd like to share on an experience of it, needing to let go a little bit of maybe relationships, particularly that weren't serving you, or maybe trying to pull you or keep you in a state or stage that you were trying to move out of, and how did you navigate that in a way that isn't harmful for anybody?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think there are people that you love that they've been part of your life for so long, and you want to keep the relationship, but you decide to dedicate it less time, maybe. So you don't necessarily need to make yourself a huge headache in the sense of, it's maybe about spacing the times that you meet with this person, or seeing her less, because how to say, you love this person, but you maybe at a different stage of your life where you need different kind of conversations. Some people, for instance, they love to gossip or they love to complain, and but you love them because either they're family members or they're really good friends of yours, and you don't want to just say, okay, I don't want to see you anymore. It doesn't have to be so black or white. But maybe, okay, instead of seeing this person every weekend, you're gonna see her or him once a month, or see them differently. Like you don't go, for instance, for the full day somewhere with them, but you just have a quick lunch or a quick apéro, and so you kind of, or you can also do a different activity with them. You can also inspire them to do things where you would like to connect at a different level. So let's say you love to do sport, and you say, you know what, this time let's go play tennis instead of spending the whole day gossiping, on the bench.
Yeah.
And so then you build a different relationship. And with some other people where actually, they are not so important to you, it's just a matter of letting the relationship fade away naturally. And sometimes with some other people, you need to have tough conversation, like with family members, because you cannot let go of your mom or your dad or your sister or your brother. These people are there forever. You can obviously not see them at all anymore, but I don't think this is also a solution to make yourself, happy. I think you need to find a way to respect yourself and say, mom or dad, I would like to connect at a different level. Like, for instance, I did with my parents. I told you offline before we talked here that I invited them to a Tony Robbins event. I paid my whole family a ticket to go to Germany last year. And I was so proud, to connect with them at this different level, because now we have different conversations. We can also remember this time and go deeper on some of the topics we tapped into during the program. And so I started also to switch from this baby love, this, you're my mom, you're my dad, you owe me to take care of me, or whatever it is that we think as kids, to, okay, now I'm an adult, they are adults, and maybe I can inspire them to some level, because it is not about thinking you're superior or ego-driven thing. It's more, what if I could inspire the people that I love? What if my journey today can be a role model for others, And then you tap into a different level of the relationship when you start to approach it that way. So
100%. That's just wisdom in a bottle.
Yeah, but that's a journey. It took me 14 years to arrive to that point.
Yeah. No, I hear you,
Lauren. So I think it's the more you dig in, the more you find peace with yourself, the more you're able to give, also.
For sure. And I, myself, on my journey, like, I'm kind of going through some of those stages and being tested on some of those lessons and, moving forward and that. But I'm also seeing it with my clients, you know, in working with, and some of those conversations of, you know, that's where the role model, that's where the leadership really comes through, and in holding that space, and also trying to help guide that navigation of, you know, you are changing, things are changing, and as that happens, you know, that not, you know, we mentioned this already, but not to fall back, you know, not to keep reclouding yourself or to keep in the dark of it, you know, to, as you shine bright, shine, you know, and that in as you said there, even, you know, with the relationships with your children, with your family, that attraction, as they say, you know, you are suddenly vibrating differently, you know, you are suddenly giving off a different energy. And as I introduced, you know, with you, that the truth of your energy is magnetic.
Mm-hmm,
And
thank you.
I'd love, Audrey, if you wanted to share, you know, how to work with you, or, you know, what kind of work you offer for people, or how to connect with you in any way, for anyone who, you know, is drawn to you. Because as I say, I know we met by chance, but it's by choice that we've kept connected.
Yes,
So
definitely.
yeah, for anyone who's resonating with you and your story at the moment, yeah, if you want to kind of mention or offer a pathway.
Yeah, of course. So today, I'm, you know, since I'm coaching for many years, I have realized one very important thing is that we need each other. You know, we need to support each other, and we are all in the same journey. We are all in the same boat, and I wanted to find a way to connect all the beautiful people that I've met all along the way, and to kind of put us together. I put myself in it because I'm not better than others. I'm just maybe in my journey more advanced than others because I started earlier.
Yeah.
But on some other levels, other people are way more advanced than me, you know. So we are all on a different journey. And the collective today, I think, is what we need. And that's why I've built a community where we meet monthly to talk about our saboteurs, the challenges that we are facing. There are also other people, giving sessions into this community. We learn every month also how to, on different topics, or some months is about how to manage your stress, some other months is about how to tap into more spirituality into your life, you know, and so it's always different topics. We have one person that that did a mindset factor debrief to the people of the community. So we learn together, we grow together, we share our dark side together. We also share our bright side. We celebrate the wins, you know, because you know, it's important also to see what's working, you know, and not always deal with what's not working, but also let's cheer each other up and say, yeah, you know, you did great on this, you did great on that, and also, you know, develop this almost like a daily habit to, you know, I used to offer in my package the High Five Habit by Mel Robbins, you know, this audiobook.
Yeah.
And I recommend it to everybody because she's saying every morning you should wake up, go in front of the mirror and high five yourself, you know.
Yeah. For sure. I love that. And it's something I actually started doing in the school, and I won't overshare on that or anything, but like, you know, that thing of just like turning and looking at someone and giving them a high five, you know,
Yes.
no more than if you were at an in-person Tony event, you know, or even virtual, you know, they do it, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
We don't celebrate that connection
Yeah.
anymore. Like, we're nearly afraid to look at each other sometimes. So I love that you have a community and developing a community for people who do
Yes.
just want that connection, you know, and as you say, maybe want to learn something from someone who has something that you don't know just yet, you know, or that you're growing and working towards. And then also a community where, you know, people can give back as well. I think that's so important. And the fact that like oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, please. I was just wanted to say, so if people resonate to what I'm saying and want to join a group of people that care for each other, that want to grow together, we welcome everybody with this intention, you know. So this is the first thing, and I'm actually making the community even more professional. So we are creating now a platform where you can have access to different courses and all these kind of things. So this is about to come. So I think also a good way to stay in touch is Instagram. You know, I'm sharing stories and activities that we do. And by the way, on the March 13, I'm hosting a completely new webinar about how your inner child can help you manifest your dream life.
Oh, I love the sound of that.
Yeah. So we did a vision board. You know, we did a vision board with the community last month. And now we are going to see how the child within us can help us manifest this vision board. So if anyone wants to join, I'm opening it to the public, you know, this session. So you don't even have to be part of the community. But I will send you the link to register to that.
That would be amazing.
Yeah.
I'll be there if that's okay. I'd love to
Of course, I would love to have you,
I'll
Lauren,
sign up
please.
for sure and for certain. March 13th, can consider the calendar blocked off. Anyone who knows me knows that I live by the calendar. Oh my God. So if it's not the calendar, it doesn't exist. So yeah, let's just block that in. And Audrey, I've learned so much in this share with you. And as I say, in watching and following you. And this season 2 of the podcast is all in like action and exploring. And, you know, it's in taking... I do believe, and I was kind of conscious in even choosing the order of that. It's like you actually have to take an action to explore, because otherwise you're just in your head, you know. And in traveling, like you said there, where you discovered more of yourself, you discovered what you wanted away from kind of maybe some like family expectations and that, and having those conversations and kind of coming full circle in digging deeper as a family, you know, through communities like Tony's events, and exploring your career path, you know, into ultimately coming to that center and that center itself. And, you know, we all have triggers and we're all growing, you know, at any point in stage, and your girls being able to see you as a role model. I think the two go hand in hand. And I think you're a perfect example of that for anyone who is listening, and anyone who is maybe in that stage and phase of, well, which comes first, you know, chicken or the egg, you know, in that saying, that expression. And I'm really excited to see how you continue to grow as well. And I'm curious, before we kind of close, what's next? Audrey, like what's, because you know yourself, we're overachievers.
Exactly. So first let's celebrate who we are today. Yes. Well, what's next? You know, I think it's about elevating. You know, I think I found my center, and now for me it's about elevating. So, and when I say elevating, is finding more verticality, you know, and how can I serve even more, and how can I fulfill my mission and why I'm here even more, and how can I also inspire others to do so, you know, and with this comes some challenges, obviously, because, you know, I even in the development of this community, you know, I need to prioritize it in my agenda. It comes with some actions as well, you know. It's not only, oh yeah, let's elevate, and then, right? You want to put this also into action, and this is always the challenge in between what you have in your head and what you want and what you can actually do, and how you actually manage to put this into reality.
Mm-hmm.
right? And so there I'm still figuring it out, but I want to have compassion for myself on the way, you know, that I'm already on my way. And this gives me peace as well, to think that way, you know, and I think we should all think that way.
For definite. I absolutely love that it's what's next will be next. And as you say, when you're growing from a centered space, you know, when you're growing from really knowing where that is, that elevation comes and will come as long as you're taking just small steps in the right direction.
Yeah, and this is so important. So maybe to finish on that note, is one step at a time. You know, because maybe some people, they are hearing me right now and they say, oh my God, she's so far, or whatever it is, you know. I've been exactly where people are struggling right now, you know, and one step after the other. This is the only way. We cannot make like a huge jump. We have to grow through the things, you know.
This is so true, or else you just come right back, you know. The challenges keep presenting themselves until you learn from them, you know. So
exactly.
You might think you're jumping through something, but it's gonna come right back.
Yeah,
so,
definitely.
Yeah, grow through it. Audrey, thank you so much. As I say, I really enjoyed this. I really enjoyed connecting again properly as such in conversation, and as I like buckets of wisdom for anyone listening, and in witnessing your growth, as I say, witnessing what you do for others. And for anyone who's interested in coming to Audrey's event, March 13th, you'll see in the show notes there, and a link to her socials as well. Do check out her Instagram. As I say, it's just full of energy and full of wisdom and full of strategy as well, for anyone who is trying to uncover those parts of themselves that aren't needed anymore, you know. And I'd love to keep connected. As I say, I'll be at your event. I'd love if, you know, somewhere down the line we kind of see more of that journey again. And you're welcome anytime, Audrey. And I wish you and your girls and your family all the best now over the next couple of months.
I also wish you all the best in your journey, and thank you for doing that for the people. It's great that they can have access to these conversations, and you do it with a lot of it's so natural, you know. I look at the watch and I cannot believe we're almost talking for an hour. It's incredible.
I think we can keep going.
Thank you for guiding me. Yeah, I could stay one more hour, but you know, I also have to pick up the girls very soon.
No, that's it. It was conversations like this and listening to it. To me, this is still, I'm still pinching myself all the time, and that like this is happening. This is the thing.
Yeah.
So I needed to hear conversations like ours, Audrey. I needed to put in someone else's thoughts into my own head, go for a walk, listen to it. So if I was able to listen to you a few years ago, you would have, you know, helped me grow through and see some of those challenges. And I really hope today, anyone listening, you know, that's what this is bringing you. And Audrey, I just can't thank you enough. As I say, we could definitely go for at least another hour.
For sure.
So, more again soon.
Yes, thank you.